The co-founder and president of Shield AI, Brandon Tseng, is with us. He's a former Navy SEAL. How old are you? Well, you look like you're 14. How old are you?
I'm 39.
You're 30.
Yeah.
You're 39.
So, yeah.
Anyway, you are making a huge difference in the AI world, especially with defense, with the new the X-Bat, a new plane. Do you call them drones or are they planes?
X-Bat's a vertical takeoff, launch, and land AI-piloted fighter jet. Okay. So, sometimes when people think drones, they just think quadcopters, except there's a whole world of drones, and so we call it's a fighter jet.
It's weird. You either think of the quadcopters or you just think of those gigantic gray drones.
The Predators and Reapers.
And we're not like that anymore either.
No.
Right? Have we updated those?
So Shield AI builds a miniature version of said drone that's also vertical takeoff, launch, and land. It's called the VBAT. It weighs about 180 pounds, but it's meant to do the mission of these $40 million drones for a fraction of the cost. And so we've been using that with U.S. forces, for now, probably since 2019, but most recently we've been working with the U.S. Coast Guard. We've interdicted billions of dollars of drugs in the Caribbean Sea. Just set a record with the U.S. Coast Guard interdicting 22 tons of drugs.
Are you blowing up the boats, or are you just cracking them?
Shield AI is not blowing up any boats, but the Coast Guard's setting them on fire after the whole thing is said and done. So,
so let me go into the future of warfare, because it's a little freaky, and I don't even know. There's a story that just came out today because we're negotiating with Russia, and Russia is always beating their chest or they have something new. This one just sounds crazy. CNN this morning: Putin claims successful test of long-range nuclear-powered cruise missile amid diplomatic breakdown. And what this cruise missile is, you launch it. It's not just nuclear tipped, it's nuclear powered as well. So the idea is it will just stay up in space, and it can just stay up there until it's directed to hit something, which I guess you not only blow a city up, but you also have the China syndrome happening at the same time. I guess I don't even get it. What do you think of this weapon?
Yeah, it sounds crazy, sounds dumb, sounds over-engineered. It actually reminds me of some of the things that the U.S. was doing in the 50s. We had, I don't know if you know this, we had something called the Davy Crockett nuclear rocket, which was a handheld nuclear rocket launcher. They said only Davy Crockett would be crazy enough to shoot this thing because you're firing a nuclear bomb over your shoulder, and you hope it goes far enough. So that's when I think
1950s were kind of scary.
You can Wikipedia this stuff. It's in there. With the nuclear powered cruise missile, 15 hours, it's like, okay, now, why do you need it to be up in the air for 15 hours? You're seeing where this thing is. It becomes an easier target for people to shoot down. And then to the point, now what do you have if this thing actually blows up, or at any point, whether we take it out or they take it out, now you have nuclear material over some, area. Again, something that I could see some, crazy scientists and engineers working on, something that I believe has near zero utility on the battlefield in any, even by the Russians.
What about the hypersonic missiles now?
Yep. No, the hypersonics are, what I'm a big proponent of is first principles of warfare. So mass, maneuver, speed is another principle of warfare. And so what the hypersonics are getting after is that first principle, it's speed. It's if you can hit your targets faster than they can react, there's something to that. In that range, at that standoff, at that offset, that is something that is pretty interesting. Now, the challenge the United States has been around getting these to a cost-feasible level. And I know there's some efforts to bring down the cost of hypersonics, but it's also what makes it incredibly difficult is, when you start to go hypersonic, multiple iteratives of Mach 1.0 to Mach 2, 3, 4, that is a hard physics problem.
I've always felt like whenever we saw something, when you first saw the stealth bomber, we were probably on the second iteration of that. You know what I mean? We didn't always just show what we had. Is that true anymore? Do we have things that the world doesn't know that
I don't think we have too many things that the world doesn't know about. Certainly, there are classified programs, and I think the U.S. does have a couple, not technologies, up its sleeve, but just like, concepts, operating concepts, is what I would say. Like we still are like pretty good at. And so, what you're seeing today is in the military world, you see it a lot in the, just the consumer software world where industry is really leading in this day and age. So you see industry leading the customer more than what I would say in the past, right? In the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you'd see the customer leading industry to what it
we
wants.
Want to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Are you concerned at all with AI and technology being so readily available and cheap, everywhere, that everybody can do some really bad damage? You don't have to be the United States of America.
Yeah, look, I think every new technology is it's a double-edged sword. It can produce a ton of value for the world. It can do a lot of good for the world. And at the same time, when you put that technology into the wrong person's hands, it can do damage to the world. And so I think the same was true of the internet. The same is true of now providing compute power into, a massive amount of compute power into someone's hands just via an iPhone or an Android phone. And so I don't look at AI, I don't worry about AI and autonomy. And I think it's wrong to prohibit the advancement of a technology simply because, some wrong can be done with it. There's a ton of things where a lot of wrong, and we've seen this, a lot of things can be weaponized, whether it's an airplane, whether it's a car, whether it's the internet, whether you name it. But these technologies aren't bad for the sake of, being a new technology.
I've talked to the president about this several times. The one thing that freaks him out, keeps him up at night, is nuclear war. He said, I rebuilt the nuclear arsenal. And he said, you don't even want to understand what we can do. He's like, it's always been bad. He said, it's colossally bad. And once it starts, it's over. And he does, what little sleep he gets. I think there are times where he has lost sleep over war on nuclear weapons. Is there any of this new technology? Is there anything about AI or any of this stuff that freaks you out that you think, like, this is really scary if it goes wrong or whatever?
Yeah, the way that I think about it is, look, nuclear deterrence has deterred nuclear war since since 1945, and that largely stopped world wars for the past 80 plus years. And so our conventional deterrence has been dominated by our aircraft carriers and our submarines in terms of how we deter large state-on-state conflicts in this day and age. Is with these, along with a number of other levers that we pull, economic levers, diplomacy levers, but the military lever has been dominated by our aircraft carriers, our air power, and our submarines. And so where I see the world going is, it's like AI and autonomy is enabling this next generation of deterrence, because our legacy weapon systems, they're not as well respected. Our aircraft carriers are not as respected as they once were, right? When the enemy,
feel like I'm a sitting duck.
Yeah, when the enemy has anti-ship missiles that outrange, what these carriers can launch with our jets, and they have, surface-to-air missile systems that can target any fuel tanker, that is when you see your conventional deterrence capabilities start to erode. AI and autonomy is that massive unlock for the military, for our allies. It enables, the United States to field millions of drones. You can't field millions of drone pilots. We don't have enough people. There aren't enough people signing up. But what you can do is you can enable, small groups of people to field, these drone swarms that I believe will be the most strategic conventional deterrence for the next 25 years. And again, that's why I started Shield AI. We have, the tagline, the greatest victory requires no war. It is about having such a dominant military that any adversary thinks twice before starting either a straightforward conflict or an asymmetric one.
Are you concerned about, Elon Musk says, and I don't know how true this is, but Elon Musk says we are the new Grok, I think it's 5 or 6 that's coming, is 60% close to AGI. Are you concerned about AGI and ASI and what that might mean?
I'm not concerned about AGI, but I'm an eternal optimist, and so I put that disclaimer out there. It's really hard to say what 60% of AGI means. What I do think is really interesting, really fascinating, it is what is now possible in this day and age with AI and autonomy. And I'll share something cool that I looked up the other day and why I'm an optimist around it. I asked Grok 4, I said, what was the economic impact of the internet from 2000 to 2025 on global GDP by a cumulative basis? Its estimate was $134 trillion worth of economic value attributed to that core underlying technology being the internet. Ton of value created for the world. I then asked it, what is the value of AI and autonomy going to be for the world from 2025 to 2050? Estimate that. Its estimate, and maybe it's biased because it's an AI estimating itself, was...
Feed me.
Yeah, $4.5 quadrillion, 40 times bigger than the internet. And so that world, again, I'm a techno-optimist. I get excited about that. It's hard to really understand or fathom what that world looks like, but I think it's going to be a net positive for the world in the way that so many underlying core technologies of life have been. Now, doesn't mean there's going to be it's all, sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be some bad actors out there with it for sure.
So, last question. I hate to ask you this, but I have to ask you this. Being a guy who's into drones, everything else, what we saw last year over in New Jersey, what the hell was that?
I don't know what it was in New Jersey, but I don't like the idea that there was anybody able to fly drones at all. Now, what those were large too. Yeah. I don't know if it was another state. I don't know if people were pulling pranks they've done in the past. I don't know what it was. It was. Do you think it could have been us? I don't. I think no. I don't. I think it was someone else. Is what I think it was.
That's a little frightening.
Yeah. I don't know what it was though. So yeah.
You don't have you ruled out extraterrestrial, or do you just think it's?
I haven't. I probably haven't paid enough attention to it to rule out anything. Answer. But yeah, I don't know what it was.
Yeah. That's a little frightening. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll be watching.
Really appreciate it.
You bet.